the screen, why don't you guys pull out your phones and scan the QR code. If you're going to use your computer, the code is 29050759. Again, if you're using your computer, the code is 29050759. The question is Mentimeter. Yep. How can we identify themes in foreign policy, and what evidence will we have to look to find that? So themes in foreign policy. Climate change, democracy, look at charts and statistics. Does anybody still need the code? Did you respond on your phone?
Already responded.
Already responded? Yes.
I am the second.
The code is 29050759. 29050759. Got 4 responses. We're waiting for a couple more.
What is this?
Mentimeter. 29. Tell me when you're ready.
Oh, I already got the code, I just needed to know what the thing was for.
Okay. So we can see protection of human rights, policies that focus on national security. We can identify themes in foreign policy by comparing presidential decisions abroad over a while. The evidence we can look at this program, or programs names given to objects after a president leaves office. We can look at patterns in how foreign countries and the government responds to the world. Looking for patterns. This is exactly what we're going to look at today, guys. We got 7 responses. I'm just waiting for a couple more. Let me know when you guys are ready. So what do we think about some of these responses? We got another one. Climate change policy, Kyoto Protocol, Clean Air Act, Montreal Protocol, anti-war legislation, like what we looked at with the Kellogg-Briand Act, World War II, the Japanese oil embargo. Awesome. These are all examples of foreign policy. Foreign interests, we can see what a nation might need to look at during the Cold War, trying to sway nations to our side. Awesome job, guys. So today we're going to break off into groups and do a little group activity. So I'm going to divide you up into groups. You're going to use the textbooks in the back room on the far right-hand side, and you're going to work with your group to create a timeline of foreign policy events throughout history. You'll notice that we blocked off and we created bookmarks with different global wars. We don't need to focus them on that much. I'm looking for policy decisions and events that influence policy. So these global wars should be the before and after. What is the reaction to these events? A few more minutes, and then you'll catch up with the red group. All right, so now that we've concluded our warm-up, let's break off into our groups. Green group, gold or peach, and then brown, and then red in that back corner, okay? Rand's time. I'll go over that at the end. Yep, you'll have plenty of time with that, don't worry about that.
Gold or peach.
Gold or peach. All right, and your textbooks are over here. I highly suggest you get one of each. Your group will need them. You are going to create a timeline of the full scope of the 250 years of American policy. Think surface level. We're trying to mark events and policies that has changed our perspectives in foreign affairs. Then we were going to try and decide what themes we see within each era.
It's a little shown in here.
Textbooks are right over there, right behind Dan. So I will grab one of each. Divide and conquer. Break up your timeline amongst your group members. I'm going to set a timer on the board. We're going to try and get this completed within the first half hour. So Kyle, make sure you're working with your group partners on this to help you out. Are they? I think this resolution is perfect. Okay, so
1930.
I can do.
use both textbooks. There's an old textbook and a newer textbook.
I don't know ancient.
The newer textbook will definitely help you determine events from 2000 and forward.
This one's from 96. This one's from
Are
96.
you calling me old?
No, I'm going
I got
to
1989
textbooks.
No, I'm going
to textbook ancient. Oh, yo, he's giving me words of advice. Assignments can't be late if you never turn them in.
You just get a 0.
Yeah.
Alright, look through the index. Look at the glossary in the back to help you find timelines for events.
Condition.
You don't do the
18.
Wait, what do you want us to do with these?
They're just to indicate your group, yep.
I can just feel
Keep your sticky notes in your binders or with this worksheet because tomorrow we're going to be doing some research on the themes in international relations and I'm going to have you guys break back into these focus groups, okay? Make sense? Do we have any questions on the task at hand? I would like you to use the textbooks first before we go to internet-based
You
research.
want us to look through this and see what America's foreign policy was during that time?
Yes. Yes, so mark events. You don't have to write a lot in these. I want date, time, event. If you need to add like a one-sentence description of what that policy is to remind you of what it is, that will be fine too. How you doing, Dustin?
I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay, so we're going to take a look at each section, and we're going to try and break down the timeline into different events. So what foreign policies after the Revolutionary War? What are some foreign policies after the war? We're going to look through our textbook, there's some timelines, we'll start negotiating it. So if we want to look, we'll start at chapter 2, flip to chapter 2, and then take a look at the timeline there.
For the DO6.
The older textbooks have more helpful timelines than the newer ones. So what are some foreign policy decisions
Because I'm already here.
for events
Divide
that
and conquer.
impact American history and its relationship with other countries? Make sense?
Yeah.
Like June and the Declaration of Independence, or you can just put DOC.
Oh, it's supposed to be, it's foreign policies, I guess.
Look here, this would be some sort of, is there anything Revolution of War national relations?
Well, we did something directly after the Revolution.
So this would be built
Declaration of Independence is technically
inside
foreign policy, right?
What has been
Here, can I take grab your textbook?
That's literally the first.
the first foreign policy?
So, do you want to start with your group members? Have you guys determined how you're going to divide the timeline up? Okay, so who's starting with the independence? Who's starting with the Revolutionary War period? Or is it you or Dustin?
I can do the top. I don't know what to start with. I
Okay.
don't know what's going on. I feel like an old man.
So why don't you start with before and after the Civil War? So look back to your table of contents for that time frame. You want to then turn to the back and look more at before and after World War I and World War II. All right, so I will help you. So we're going to
Here, but.
impactful to the United States and its relationship with other people. So things to look out for are treaties, tariffs, embargoes. Those are all policies that directly relate to other countries. Okay? Nineteen or 1864, 65, yeah. So if anything before that was recently war era. That, okay, makes sense? Alright. Does anybody else need help on this side? Where are you at, Patrick?
War of 1812.
Okay.
I'm just trying to figure out what's correct.
Have you looked at the timeline for this?
No, it's not.
This timeline? Yeah, so look at this, anything that it deals with, like treaties, embargoes, what kind of policies or events that are with the United States and another country. Oh, there's, okay, it doesn't necessarily have to start at the War of 1812. Remember, we're not focusing on these wars. We know these wars are between the United States and another country. So, for like this one,
The doorway policy, breakaway fleets and Panama Canal.
smooth transition of power. We've got election information.
Were those, right here, where it's 1842, but the, unopposed British birth was 12.
Yes, yes, so you could include that. Also look at Native American resistance. Remember, this is considered a different government or a different body at the time, so, anything involving the Native Americans or the Spanish or the Mexicans, especially during this time period, if you wanna look at the United States relationship with the Native Americans and Mexicans, that's where you're gonna find that information to follow policy on time. Are you guys dividing up the timeline? Are you each working on your own section?
Yeah.
Okay, good. How are you guys doing?
That's all. You're right. How many, for each of us, Carly, with 7 days, right?
7 events?
Yeah, for each of us.
If that's what you determine as significant. Yes, no, it depends on what, so
Because I would like the Louisiana Purchase in there, that'd be like more policy.
absolutely that would be for policy. Not only is that involving France, but that's involving the Native Americans, the Spanish, because they are also, think about the port of New Orleans, that was also a Spanish controlled area at the same time. Did I say Native American involvement? Also, before the War of 1812, you have the British in northern British Columbia, and also in that western frontier as well. So that is a very powerful event. Not every event, like you're not gonna exactly find 7 years, 7 years, 7 years, 7. If that makes sense. Did that leave you with more questions than answers?
I thought we need like 20 for like the whole sheet. Instead of 20 for the whole sheet.
Okay, it's approximately
Yeah.
spread throughout the whole sheet, yes.
Yeah, it's about.
Do you think that that would be important to include on the timeline?
Yes,
Then yes, put it on there.
I just like your particular,
Is that 1820?
I think 1835, something like that.
Bookmark it before or after,
Maybe
an impactful event, yeah.
We're only like marking down like actual like events, right? Not like this.
What does that say?
This says that Maria Mitchell became the first professor of astronomy at a college.
Does that have an international impact?
I don't think so.
Then probably not worth adding,
Yeah.
right? Yep.
I was just wondering. I didn't know if we had to like write
Yep.
everything.
So like for this era here,
Yeah.
think about territorial expansion that America went through. Think about its relationship with the Native Americans. Anything that involves that will be primary information. And you can follow that timeline and look for more information in that textbook chapter as well. So skim through the chapter, not just the timeline. much. Yes. So whether it's direct or indirect, so certain things like the Russian Revolution or the Mexican Revolution, even though they didn't happen internally in America, was it an event
The
that
Treaty of
changed?
Guadalupe Hidalgo, was that 1847?
No, it's 48.
Right, because you're seeing, especially with the Russian Revolution, powers are
Nonetheless.
I thought
shifting.
you were gonna say it was international, it was definitely.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Between two nations.
Yeah.
Really wanna have it.
You don't necessarily have to do like, you know, World War II, Battle of the Bulge, but
No, but like the Lemley stack, you would think? The Lemley stack would be a good thing to add
yes.
too.
Yep.
What happened to, like how
If you think that's significant, absolutely. Yeah. How does that have international implication? Exactly, yeah, so would that policy, would that act then have a broader
Yeah.
global
Okay.
impact? Yep,
Yeah. that makes
whether
sense.
it's direct or indirect.
Okay.
Yep. I like how you marked a timeline in their Cold War era,
Yeah. Thank you.
that is significant.
Which would be incorporated also count.
If, like I said, if it would have a direct or indirect implication.
Like Romney Board of Education, could you also get that short maybe stat?
You could make an argument, absolutely, because that would then progress desegregation in education worldwide.
there's a lot of claims in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio.
Probably be on too, because like the events in Birmingham.
I didn't realize so many of the clan members were based in these states. Most of them were down south of this.
Yeah, I thought it was Florida.
Florida. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
So, yeah, the
Oh,
Ku Klux
my.
Klan had a nationwide presence, and in fact, in Pennsylvania, York County still has one of the largest populations of African Americans. So, there's an ugly underground with domestic terrorist groups like that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I didn't expect Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, that's like 40% of the country.
How many do you have on?
Why would you think that those states would have more membership?
Or
Or, but I'm saying like more than what you
Whether it's like,
originally
you said,
thought.
what's more important, me or
When
these
you think
rocks?
of like, think of the Civil War, it's like, they were
Rocks.
all other states. They all fought against it. So.
But does that mean that racism didn't exist in those states?
I'm not saying racism didn't exist, but I would expect the majority of it down in the south where it was prominent.
Right.
It still was very prominent.
No, it's, now, how would you mark something like this as, or even like changing in social protest as an international implication?
Well, 'cause we have in Europe, like, people of Africa. So this is the United States finally catching up. To Europe.
In that enlightenment mentality, right? Yeah, absolutely.
So like, for like the 1920s, like social movement.
We could do, progressivism.
Wait, honestly,
So probably. Nice with 20.
wait, 76, 51, or 76.
Yeah, because that's that era of idealism and the stronghold of the the classical liberal values that we talked about in Unit 1, right? Are you guys already starting to see themes pop up in different eras? You're shaking your head, Wyatt. How do you see themes popping up?
There's a lot of,
Are you looking at like the early 1800s? Before World War I? So if you had to coin that era, what would you call it? what lens are you perceiving that through though?
The European.
Okay. Are you thinking of like British, where they're sailing out all over the world and creating colonies?
Even the Western world, like Belgium, they still have.
The scramble for Africa?
Yeah, the scramble. Was it really large areas?
And what was the purpose of that purchase?
Was to have greater have access to Africa.
Yeah, so that former slaves had the option or vacation to move somewhere with a relationship with the United States. Should you include the purchase of Liberia on that timeline?
I don't remember
So that is gonna be in that last chapter. You know what, why don't you go to the index in the back and look up Liberia? That should give you a closer, page number than just giving you the chapter. Yes and no, he also kept documents in the hat when he was doing speeches and stuff on the road. There's rhyme and purpose with it. Yes. That was during Teddy Roosevelt's, presidency. Yeah, yeah, it was around 1912. It was on one of the timelines.
Probably further.
Let me go grab a book.
It says 1822 is when they established the colony, but
Write that down. So, I think it was in. Kyle, can I see your map real quick? Yeah. What chapter was it on? Yeah, so, 1912 to 1915.
Okay.
Yep,
Thank you.
yes.
What's the
There's been, so, no, it was much sooner than that. You're looking at the start of that in the 1820s. But it's much older than people think, but it ebbs and flows throughout time in, American history.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I thought it was fully after the Civil War.
I mean, it was officially created in Pulaski, Virginia, 1865 after the Civil War.
What, the KKK?
But there
Yes.
were other like groups.
Terrorist
Yeah,
groups, yes.
yeah.
Domestic.
It just became much more organized after this.
It was the whole Reconstruction period.
Mhm. Well, and then you also have the dichotomy between Abraham Lincoln's vision and then what Stephen Johnson contradicted after Lincoln was assassinated. The Stephen Johnson administration overturned a lot of what Lincoln was attempting to do during Reconstruction. Because you have that whole 40 acres and a mule promise that was never fulfilled during that time period. So.
Hendrick was.
You picked up on that during, yep. I was wondering how many people would.
No, that's not really.
Are you moving on, or are you staying focused within this time frame? Also, think about the implication of the Great Depression. So as you're moving after 1925, the Great Depression started in 1928. So what is the global impact of that? Because it wasn't just the United States. Exactly. So once you move outside of the 1925 problem, that Great Depression idea should really start to come about.
It'd be the same like Robbie Board of Education.
You're in Saints. Yes. So you're bandwagon.
up or done within the next 15 minutes. Make sure if your group divided and conquered, make sure you're also collaborating to put all of your information into your timeline. So I might take you into the next chapter. I think we might have passed. I not have a chapter or a time. You probably might here, I'll help you with that. Like I said, the older textbook has a much better, reliable timeline from what I've seen, even though it is older than you guys by quite some time.
First person to get this was
560, Kyle.
Lost property.
I went to a soccer Sunday night.
Where were you?
Dave.
You were in the city.
I was.
Stay focused, guys. Yeah.
Was Great Society Johnson's foreign policy or domestic? Domestic, right? Because this one's pretty much just Vietnam.
But you just mentioned an international country. Is there an international implication with that policy? All right, yep, so 560 will have a timeline for this group. So you can look at the different policies here. But also think about it. That has an implication because it leads directly into factors of World War II. But women's suffrage, how would that have an international implication?